Hi and welcome to another edition of Onside SA. Well, we've got to the stage in the World Cup where it gets very interesting. A lot of top players are gone. And Budge, a good few surprises again.
Yep. Well, that's what makes it, Paul.
Yeah.
Spain getting knocked out. I think
Germany.
they deserve to go out just the way they played.
Yeah.
Trying to keep the ball. You don't score for keeping the ball. But
Yeah.
no, some good games. Felt for the Japanese.
Yeah. And no one dives in their team. They've got to get the fair play award.
Honourable team, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel sorry from 68.5 minutes. You 2-0 up.
Yeah.
You lose 3-2. Sure.
Harsh,
Very disappointing.
No, it's been good, Paul. Starts again Friday. Big game, the first one, Paul. France-Uruguay.
Yeah.
Big game, yeah.
Yeah, that will be. All right, let's see if we've got our international pundit Stevie B on the line. We're just trying to get hold of Stevie. In a moment, he'll be on the line. He's in our UK offices, and we'll be talking to him, especially about changes that are taking place. But while we won't talk about changes until we get Steve on the line, but let's just run through the scores, because Steve will know them at all. France 4-3, Argentina, good game?
Yeah, excellent game. I felt for Messi. He's playing on his own, Paul.
Yeah. They brought Aguero on later.
Whoever picked that team should get shot. How can you play a knockout game without a centre forward?
Yeah, that's right.
Doesn't make sense, Aguero and terrible, yeah.
All right, I believe Stevie B's on the line. Stevie, you there?
Okay.
Stevie?
Good morning.
Morning, Steve.
How's everything
Happy England fan here.
How's everything in Blighty? Must be a very proud country at the moment, having got this far.
Well, I think we've sort of maybe exceeded expectations. I mean, we've not set the world alight, but the important thing is, we did enough to win, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Before we talk World Cup, let's just talk the Premier League and the leagues, the top leagues around the world, because we've got some managerial questions to fire at you. And Budge, you were saying, what's the story?
What's the Chelsea situation? I heard the players report back on the 9th of July, and they want the managerial situation sorted out. What's the latest?
Again, it's gone very quiet the last few days. Last week when I spoke to you, the press was just completely full of, it was a done deal. Sarri was coming. He was naming his backroom staff. And the last few days, it's gone very quiet. And yet Chelsea are being linked with buying players. So, obviously goes to show that either he's not involved in that or he is in the background. But the whole thing just seems crazy that they still have a manager in situ at this moment in time. And you would think that they would do what they've got to do if Conte is not staying, and Conte is not staying, and bring Sarri in. It's all quite bizarre, really. So you have to assume it's going to get sorted out in the next few days.
Yeah, and also I think what will come to a head is without them being in the Champions League, what's going to happen to Courtois, Hazard, everyone's linked with Willian, and I see PSG now want Kante.
Yeah, I think this is the thing. I mean, there's obviously with the uncertainty there, and they want to bring new players in, and you think if you're a new player, you want to know what manager you're playing for, because you don't know whether or not that's the sort of manager or the style of the sort of that the club are going to play, and you want to be part of. So I think and maybe a lot of it stems from the whole sort of Abramovich situation. There must be quite a bit of upheaval going on behind the scenes of the club, I suspect.
Is it true Napoli want 20-odd million for him to buy him out of his contract?
Who does?
Napoli, they want 20 million for Sarri.
Yeah, the crazy thing is they've got a manager in place. It doesn't sort of quite make sense, and I think they're appealing against that. And I'm sure a deal will be done, but it sort of doesn't make sense. They've got a new manager in place, yet they still want money for their old manager. I'm not quite sure how that pans out. So. But Chelsea can't start the season or can't really start their pre-season without a manager in place. It doesn't quite make sense.
Stevie,
and they're surely not going to start with Conte sort of taking pre-season with him not knowing whether he's staying or not.
Stevie, just to ask you about some of the changes, Jack Wilshere to West Ham, is that correct?
I think that's could be quite a good move for him. It's obviously that he didn't figure in the new manager's plan to Arsenal, and I think that's probably the sort of club he could probably do quite well at.
Yeah, he's a good midfield player. I like him. At least he tries to go past, and he'll play every week at West Ham, whereas at Arsenal.
Well, I think that's the point. And if he stays injury free, then they obviously they'll pay him good wages. But to pick him up without a transfer fee, I think they'd have done very well.
Yeah, I think he would have been in the England squad if he played more often. Yeah,
he's a good player.
Far better than what they got.
Yeah. How about Johan Kabay? He's leaving Palace.
Well, his contract was up. He didn't want to sign a new one. I'm not sure whether they offered him one, but he's gone to the Middle East. Evidently, all it said is that he wants a change of direction in his career. So, I suspect he's going for a good payday, but it's hardly going to join,
it's Al Nasri in Dubai, I saw that. But I must say, I would have moved him on to, a little bit slow. He can play, but, I think...
Yeah, it sounded like there were some issues, attitude issues towards the end. So there was no question that he was going to get a new contract there. He was on big wages as well, so...
move him on to Dubai. Yeah, good. And what about Mitrovic? What's the latest? We hear 20 million?
Well, we keep being told that we've sort of agreed a fee with Newcastle. He's on holiday. He's having a bit of a break post-World Cup. To me, this is something that needs to get done.
Yeah.
Fulham are already back pre-season training with we've got the smallest squad in the Premier League. So, we really have to start adding to that. We cannot start, even playing some of these pre-season friendlies with the squad we've got. It's far too lightweight. And I think Mitrovic is the key, really, to start the ball rolling.
Yeah, I see Scott Parker's now your new assistant coach, is that right?
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously he was at the club 4 years, went to Tottenham, was working with their under-18 academy and by all accounts did his coaching badges, was doing very well, and he's come back as a first-team coach, and I think that's good. He's got while he was at the club, he was obviously, I understand, was a bit of a mentor to the younger players, and I think that he will be a good influence on the bench.
Okay.
All right, Stevie, let's move on to the World Cup now. We've got the quarterfinals coming up. I'm going to again pick your brain and Budgie's brain for the games that come up on Friday and Saturday. And at 4 o'clock, we've got Uruguay-France. How do you see it?
I think there'll be a very tight game. I think Uruguay played well. I think deservedly sort of won the last 16 game. And France, they just showed in patches how good they can be. They had that purple patch in the middle of the second half when they tore Argentina to shreds. I think if they do that in patches against Uruguay, I think they'll win. I think it'll be a very close game, but I'm just going to go for France by 1 goal.
Yeah, what's the latest with Cavani? I see it all on Cavani's injury. If Cavani's not playing, I think France will win easily. It'll be tough, obviously. They've got the best defence in the tournament.
They've got a good defence, Uruguay. They're going to obviously sit back, France have just got the players on their day that can unlock the defence.
Yeah, no, I agree. We're on France.
If Cavani plays, you're still France?
Yes, but it'll be a lot easier if he doesn't play, though.
Okay, now we move on to the late game, and great game. Brazil, who are starting to find a bit of gear, and Belgium, who have great potential. What's your take?
Well, it's interesting because, Belgium looked very shaky in patches. Japan really took the game for them and shocked them. And in fact, with more, I guess, with a little bit more composure, Japan, probably could have thought, right, 2-0, we're going to close this game down. But they didn't, and it cost them. Whereas, watching Brazil, and again, in a number of Brazil's games, they've looked great at times going forward, but the defence still doesn't... seem to be as solid. I'm going to go for Brazil, but I think it's going to be very tight.
Yeah, I agree. I just can't have Belgium at the back. They've got 3 cart horses at the back. Yeah, okay, Alderweireld's
great
quick.
Players,
but Vertonghen and company, I wonder if he's going to change the system because they can't play De Bruyne in the midfield. He'll get overrun there, and they've got to drop Mertens, push De Bruyne up further up top. But I just think there's trouble in the camp there. I just saw a couple of issues with De Bruyne and Hazard. They seem to be dumbing each other, and I don't know. I can't have Belgium, but you never know.
Yeah. Obviously, when they click Belgium, they look a good team. But I say Japan, really, who are not a strong team. They really created some good openings. And you just think if Japan are going to do that, Brazil is certainly going to do that. So, I'm going to go with Brazil. I think it'll be close. I'm going to go with 1 goal, but I think.
I think the next one's easy. Saturday at 4 o'clock. Who are you both going to go with? But how do you objectively view it? Sweden, England.
Well, I think it's going to be a really tough game. England historically have a very average record against Sweden. In fact, we have beaten them something like twice in 40 years or something crazy. We haven't played them that often, but it's normally a very tight game, quite a dour game. If you watch, I watched the Sweden-Switzerland game. I thought it was a really poor game, but they're just a hard team. They've only conceded 2 goals, Sweden. 3 goals. So, they really don't concede many. They're a very physical, strong team. But England, I think, they're just going to go for it. They're going to use their pace. I think Sweden, not the paciest of teams at the back. They're going to be without one of their defenders, Michael Lustig, that was sent off at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I think England have just got to be brave and go for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I fancy England. I just hope they play Danny Rose on the left. They can't have Ashley Young. He spends more time talking to the referee than actually playing. They've got to get round the back because I think Sweden, as you say, very slow. And I think it's time for Raheem Sterling to turn up, with his pace. The centre-half plays for Man United and the other centre-half is an old-timer. So I think England, they score. I think they can win comfortably. But the Swedes knocked out Italy. They knocked out the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So they're no mugs. They conceded 1 goal against Italy. Sorry, they didn't concede a goal against the Italians. It'll be tight, but I agree. I think England will sneak through.
And I think the thing is, obviously after the Colombia game, I think England have sort of found themselves roughed up in quite a few of the games.
Yeah.
Sweden are physical, but they're not going to be cynical like Colombia were. So I think, physically, although the Swedes may be stronger, I think England can handle that. Yeah,
and I think also England, if you have a look like Belgium, they had 2 fairly easy or comfortable group victories. They both beat Tunisia and Panama. So then when they played each other, really they played the squad players. So I think both were fairly fortunate to squeak through their knockout stages. So they should be a lot sharper.
You would hope so. I mean, that Belgian game really was in a way, obviously, everyone was saying it worked out better for England by not winning because they find themselves in this part of the draw, and I'm sure they would rather now be playing
Sweden and Brazil
against Sweden than they would against Brazil. So, I think in that respect, they've certainly got a better chance. And obviously, with Croatia playing Russia as opposed to sort of the other side with sort of France and Uruguay as well, the draw for the winners of the England-Sweden game, the draw opens up for them.
Yeah, well, as you say, if England win, they play the winners of Russia and Croatia.
That's my next question.
So that's so it does work out.
While you're on that, Budge, who's going to win that?
Well, I hope Croatia. We've got 6 to 1 to get the final. But they were lucky against Denmark. Yeah. They never played well.
No.
So hopefully, but it won't be easy against the host nations.
No.
But
what do you think, Steve?
I think it's going to be a very close game. I mean, the host, Russia surprised me. I thought Spain would comfortably win that, but they rode their luck a bit, Russia. I think it'll be a very close game. I just fancy Croatia either by 1 goal or on penalties, but I wasn't overly impressed with Croatia against Denmark, having played so well in their group games. So, I think whoever gets through that, and I think I'd prefer, if England could get through, I'd rather they play Croatia than obviously against the host nation with all the sort of passion that they're showing. So, but I think if England get through, they shouldn't fear either of those 2 teams.
Yeah,
it's just how they do on the day. So.
Yeah. All right. Okay, guys, I'm pleased that's where we are. We're at the World Cup quarterfinals. Stevie B, as always, a pleasure talking to you, and keep that information, and we will see you on our shores soon.
Absolutely. Well, I'm hoping that our plane will be on time, and I will get to the hotel in Cape Town in time to see the game at 4 o'clock on Saturday. So it'll be exciting.
Were you flying British Airways or SAA?
BA.
Or you might not be there in time.
Changing in Joburg. So we're scheduled to be into Cape Town about 2 o'clock, I think. So
okay.
All things being equal, I'll watch it. I'll be there. Your pundit will be.
We'll be in the country. Lovely, Stevie. Thanks very much, and see you soon.
See you next week.
Okay. All the best, Steve. Take it easy.
Take care.
All right, let's go on to betting. We don't have to run through the scores. Everyone seems to know who's through. But interesting, what we've got is France, Uruguay. I'm just talking about the betting here. 9 to 10. Some people might view that as a good bet, especially.
I like them. But Cavani's the swing. If he's injured, you'd only know that a couple of hours before the game. France. Uruguay are going to park the bus and try and catch them on the break, Paul. You can see that. But without Cavani, I don't see them winning. France, while they've been hit or miss, if they have a good 20 minutes, as Steve said, they could have scored. They scored 3 against Uruguay. They could have scored 5.
Yeah. And do you know, Budge, just a lot of people I know say when it gets tight like this, you don't want to lose rather than win.
Sure.
In that sense. And basically there were 3 games that were tie in the 4th round.
Yeah.
Out of 8. We had 8 games, 3 were tie.
Yeah.
It could easily have been tied, Japan and Belgium.
Yeah, it should have been,
Yeah, it should have been. So 50% of the games would have been tie. France, Argentina was a nail-biter, 4-3. Uruguay, Portugal, 2-1. Brazil probably comfortable in the end, 2-0.
In the end, yeah.
And Sweden, Switzerland is tight.
Yeah, it was
Switzerland.
tight,
So a lot of people look at the draw because of 90 minutes.
I know a lot of guys have made money back in the draw at half time.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of the games they've taken.
So they read it that way.
So they say it's going to be tight, give nothing away in the second half. Several of the guys have gone over 1.5 goals in the second half.
Yeah.
So a couple of guys have read it early, but obviously the draw is a big player in the quarterfinals. You know, I like France to beat. That's the team I've been on. As I say, I think they'll be too good for Uruguay. It'll be a tight game, but if France score early, Uruguay have got to come out, and I think they'll pick them off. Yeah.
I've just overheard you and Steve saying a good defence, Uruguay.
Well, they've got the 2 Atletico Madrid boys.
But the 2 strikers that play are good players. So that gives them pretty. Yeah. Maybe they're weaker in the middle, but they're solid up front.
A lot of youngsters in the middle of the park.
So they've got a chance.
No, they've got a chance.
Uruguay. Okay, so
France for me.
Yeah, just looking at them, France beat Argentina, Uruguay beat Portugal, Russia. Well, in the quarterfinal match, Egypt.
Well, they beat Russia in their last game. That was their defining group match. They're fairly lucky in the first 2.
Yes.
And they deservedly beat Portugal. I know the Portuguese was a great header from Pepe, but they always looked in control, even though the 2 goals from Cavani were outstanding. Yeah.
So the way I work this out, Brazil are 11-10 to beat Belgium, who are 5-2.
Yeah.
If you're a Brazil man, which most of the public would be at this stage, and you took a double into France, you're getting 3-1.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Brazil. I just haven't been happy with what I've seen from Belgium. I don't like the middle of the
park. They've got the quality. Do you think there are a lot of good individuals not playing as a team?
I don't see them as a team.
Yeah.
You know, you can't play Witsel.
France have been accused of that too over the years.
but you know, they've got Kante in the middle of the park. They've got Varane and Titi at the back.
Yeah, they play
come the crunch, they're solid at the back. In the midfield park, in the middle of the park, they're solid. You know, Pogba's due to turn up. I thought he played a little bit better against Argentina.
Yeah.
And then Griezmann's got to turn up too, because he's been missing.
Okay, so
Brazil for me there, Paul. I think Belgium. I think it'll be a high-scoring game.
Do you, eh?
Yeah.
I love it when there's goals because it opens it up.
Yeah, you know, Brazil, but I haven't been that impressed with Brazil. They have played well in patches.
Yes.
But Mexico had them
Pirates
on the rack.
play well in patches.
You're right.
Yeah. Budge, England, Sweden. Well, what can you say?
I think England will win.
So do I.
You know,
Steve highlighted a very good point that the record's not that great against them.
Yeah, but you know, Sweden have had better teams in this. I know they're defensively sound. You look at them up front, they haven't really got much. And England, it's time for Sterling, you know, to turn up
and be counted.
You know, it's time up. You're worth 50 million. It's time because of his pace. Yeah. You play the South Americans, Paul. They block your runs, and the Colombians made it a nasty game. Where the Swedes play football the right way, they'll get stuck in. But I think England's pace will be too much for their defence.
Okay, right then.
Well, the last game, Paul, I think the bet is 22-10, the draw. You know it's going to be tight. You know, Croatia were lucky, as I said earlier, against Denmark. It wasn't for, you know, Modric should have scored the penalty, but in 90 minutes, Denmark were organised, and Russia will be as well. They can't play Mandzukic up front. I don't know if he's carrying an injury. You know, in the middle of the park, they've got to play the youngster Kovacic, who done his shoulder. Yeah. You know, but he got up and played. They didn't have any pace in the team. So I think he'll change it, and they were lucky.
You know, every team that Croatia played are out.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that? Yeah, Argentina, Iceland, Nigeria, and Denmark.
Yeah. But they got players, Paul.
So, Budge, if I said to you take 4 on 90 minutes, would you go win-win, draw, or how would you go?
Yes,
Win-win, England, draw?
I'd go France, Brazil, and I like the draw with in the later 2 games. Okay. England, Sweden. As much as I think England will get through.
That's pretty good odds.
Yeah, well, it's 8-22-10, 20-10 is I think 9
It'll be 24, 25 to 1 if you get it right. Okay.
There,
Right, now it's American League. Yeah. How's the league looking there,
Well, one game this morning ended at 6:30 our time. You ended up 2-2. Wayne Rooney's new team, DC United. I think he plays next week.
He hasn't played yet.
No, I think he plays next week. And they drew with Zlatan's team, the LA Galaxy. They drew 2-2. So, obviously we have a look.
So Rooney's going to start. Just get over his elocution lessons.
What was funny, before we came on the show, I went on to the Washington Post, and the one guy walked around New York with photos of Rooney in a Man United jersey and his local Everton jersey. One guy said, is he Mickey Mouse's brother, you know, with the big ears? The only person that knew him was a woman.
Is that right?
Nobody else knew who he was.
Good.
So he's going into the unknown.
Another part of the world, yeah.
But no, he'll be okay there.
But okay, so let's go through these games.
On to the first game. I think Los Angeles are good things, Paul. They're
good
hard
things.
to beat at home. Orlando have lost their last 8 games. I make the Los Angeles should win. Now the next game's a good game. Philadelphia at home, always hard to beat. Atlanta got beat last night by Dallas in the top of the conference game. They got beat 3-2. So that'll be goals in that game, Paul. Hard to, it's a 1-2-3, but they're not in our bets, but it's goals there. New England, managed by old Tottenham goalkeeper Brad Friedel. They should be too good at home for Seattle, who, while they won last night away from home, they beat a poor team. But New England at home and Boston should be too good. Montreal, likewise, they don't get beat too often at home. They should be too good for Colorado, who away from home have only won one of the last 10.
Wow.
So it should be Montreal there.
What about Sporting Kentucky Chicken?
Well, they got beat last night. They got beat by Real Salt Lake, 4-2 away from home. Toronto, who won the whole thing last year, struggling away from home. You know, Sporting Kansas City, 1-5, drawn to the last 7 home games, so they should be good things. Houston, likewise, should be too good for Minnesota, the Loons of Minnesota.
The Loons.
Terrible away from home, so Houston should be good things. Now, the next game's a key game. It's 4th versus 1st in the Western Conference. Real Salt Lake, last 8 home games, 1-7, drawn 1. Dallas.
Wow.
Going well, so it's a tight game, Paul. Anything could be in the offing there, as much as Real Salt Lake. I think it'll be slight favourites being at home. Vancouver at home too, wheels have come off. I think a draw's a big play with that. Now Chicago is busting.
They're both 6th in their leagues.
Yeah, in the various conferences. Yeah, fancy Vancouver at home, obviously a good record. It's amazing what a cup run can do for you. Chicago was struggling. Since they had I think they've only lost one of the last 9 games, but away from home they've drawn quite a few of them. So I think a draw, a big player with Vancouver and Chicago.
Galaxy 8th.
Yeah, the LA Galaxy, Paul. You know, as I said, they drew 2-2 this morning with DC United. They should be too good for Columbus. Portland unbeaten in 10 against the San Jose Earthquake team, who away from home have been terrible. So Portland look good things there. And the Bronx battle, New York City against the Red Bulls. You know, New York they've dropped 1 point in 9 home league games this year. That's David Villa's team. Whereas the Red Bulls on a good run, they've only lost one of the last 6 away.
It's getting better, this league.
Well, you know, there's more money. They're putting more money in.
Better players coming in.
And I think also there's a lot of like youngish players they're signing. You know, when they first started,
like Rooney.
All the players, well, you know,
Schweinsteiger,
you know, there's only
Zlatan, they're all old
they're
buddies.
looking for name players, but there's a lot of young players coming through.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a pity we can't watch it, but the times are all wrong for us, Paul.
Yeah.
3-4 o'clock in the morning.
All right, but let's go and have a look at your bets this week and your exotics.
So we start off with the soccer 6. I've gone England win and draw against Sweden. I've banked Malmo, who play in the Champions League on Tuesday, to beat Sirius.
How did Silix Tuna do? What are they called?
They drew 0-0.
Nil.
I hate to tell you they missed a penalty, but anyway, they cost us. But Sirius haven't won a game all year, so Malmo should be too good for them. Dalkurd, the biggest club in the world, Bromma-Pochkana, I've gone the field there. Dalkurd, both second bottom, Bromma-Pochkana, third bottom, so I've gone the field there. Häcken are going well, but GFC Sundsvall, they won in midweek. They've only lost one of the last 8, so I've gone the field there. I've banked at AAK Stockholm to win at Trelleborg, and I've gone Croatia, win and draw against Russia, 2-1-6.
Okie dokie, the next one.
Yeah, the next one's a mouthful. You know, it's the other soccer 6. The first 2 games are from Iceland. I've banked at St. Johnum to beat Keflavik. I've gone the field with RBV, Westmanna Ajo against Breidablik. I've gone the field, Real Salt Lake and Dallas. I've gone the LA Galaxy win and draw against Columbus. Vancouver win and draw against Chicago. Fine. I bank at Portland Timbers. I think they'll be too good for San Jose Earthquakes, 2-1-6.
So they're the last 2 teams. One's got a lot of forest and one's got earthquakes. One's got fault clouds and one's got forests.
Expect a bit of action.
Okay,
yeah.
soccer 10,
soccer
even
10,
Tona.
I've gone England win and draw against Sweden. I've banked in Malmo to beat Sirius. I've gone the field with Dalkurd, Bromma-Pochkana. I've gone Häcken win and draw against GIF Sundsvall. I've banked in St. Johnum at Keflavik. I've gone AAK Stockholm banker to beat Trelleborg. I've gone the field with RBV and Breidablik. I've gone Rosenborg win and draw against Tromsø. Croatia win and draw against Russia. And I've banked Longford Town to beat your old team, the Ramblers, in the Irish First Division. Yeah, 288.
Longford Town. Okay. Now the big player.
Of I've gone banked Malmo. I've gone Dalkurd win and draw against Bromma-Pochkana. I've sided with Häcken win and draw against GIF Sundsvall. I've banked AAK Stockholm to beat Trelleborg. I've gone Reininger win and draw against Sollentuna. I've banked Lunds to beat Angel Holmes. And Jolby to beat Lujinskiel. Second page, I've gone at Sigtons win and draw against Kristianstad. I've gone Kalmar win and draw at AFK Gothenburg. These are Sunday games. I've gone Djurgårdens win and draw against Norrköping. I've gone Örebro win and draw against Elfsborg. I've banked Karlstad United to beat Siriska. And Linköping City win and draw at home against Vosteris, 4-9.
4-9. Okay, Dokie, that's it. Now comes the time to get them right. Let's have a look at your World Cup
Yeah,
travel.
you know, Paul, obviously the World Cup's come along, and I think Brazil will beat Belgium from what I've seen.
Okay.
I've gone a red card in the France-Uruguay game. I just think this, you know, it's going to be physical and violent. You know, I haven't seen who the referee is, but, you know, the Uruguay and the South Americans, they get a tough referee. Especially if France score early, the tackles will be flying and the diving will be at its maximum. So I've taken a chance, Paul. It worked out just over 3-1.
Good man,
and I took Harry Kane to score. I think England will get another penalty.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, 16-1, so it's 3,300 to 200. The World Cup bookings, I've been monitoring that. We got done the other week by a referee from Mexico. The tackles were flying. He was laughing. He just kept carrying on. So I think
It used to be a cage fight.
yeah, so I've gone over 4.5. I think the first two games will be spicy, especially with the divers on play. France, Uruguay, and Brazil, Belgium. And I've gone over 3.5. I don't know why it's goals, but it's 3.5 bookings in the England, Sweden, and Croatia, Russian games. That's booking and not goals. Worked out at 11-1.
Perfect. Now we got your...
The MLS, yeah, I've gone Houston and Portland both to win. And I've gone Los Angeles and New England to win by more than one goal. 2,500 to 200. They're both at home. They should be too good for the teams. Allsvenskan, it's back, Paul. It's the Superettan's gone. Yes. This is the main league in Sweden. It's been missing for 6 weeks. I've gone Malmö to beat Sirius by more than one goal. I've gone ARK Stockholm to beat Trelleborg and more than 2.5 total goals. So 2-1, 3-0, whatever. But ARK must win. And over 2.5 goals in the Häcken, GIF Sundsvall and Hammarby Östersunds game, 3,000 to 200.
All right, and then we go on to
the both teams to score 5. I've gone Brazil, Belgium. I think Brazil. I think it'll be a high-scoring game.
Hope so.
I think their better players are both attacking. The defence a little bit suspect. Then Dolkert, Bromma-Pochkana, Djurgården or Kopping, AFK Gothenburg, Kalmar, and Hammarby Östersunds, 2,600 to 200. And Collis King, 6 or Nixa. I think Brazil will beat Belgium. I think Malmö will beat Sirius. I think Karlstad United will beat Assyriska. I think New England will beat Seattle. I think Houston will beat Minnesota. And Los Angeles will beat Orlando City.
2,900. So, Budge, with Friday coming up, you said the 2 Friday game. Hit the 2 favourites, take 3-1 the double.
That's what I think, Paul.
90 minutes.
Yep.
All right. Well, there we go. And very interesting times. By the time we talk next week, Budge, we'd have the semi-finals.
Semi-finals, yeah. Because Tuesday, Wednesday are the 2 semi-finalists, yeah.
Next week, Tuesday.
Next week, Tuesday's a semi-final, Wednesday's a second one.
So we'll have.
So it could be France, Brazil, and hopefully it's England, Croatia.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Make sure you stay on side.